did a whole workshop on this, so I think if we go over it again, the highlights should be clear. Let me point out right now that, your study sheet has a bunch of things on it. This one's rather long, but I will say that 48 to 58, that whole thing about energy production, I'm only going to test you on the electron transport chain, that one, okay? The other stuff, write down the answers, but that's the only one I'm going to test you on. Because if you try to keep all that in your head, it would be a little much, okay? So, yeah, that's it. So then when we have some time, you should, ask questions about exercise, right? Fast and slow twitch, how to, maybe get more strength, how to become a more endurance person, whatever questions you have, ask, because I've taught exercise physiology many times over the past 20 years. So I can tell you a little bit. All right. Reviewing muscles. Right here. You know this will be on the exam. So, let me just orient you to this. Can these, in this state, can contraction occur?
No.
Why not?
Tropomyosin.
Well, okay, there's no calcium, but let's find the
side is covered by
Covered.
Look, I like this step right there. There's no calcium, which means troponin is not in its shape to pull tropomyosin off. Okay. And you can also say there's no stimulation, right? Okay. But once this muscle fiber is stimulated, and I told you can't do electrically, it's still a little electrode on to get the muscles to twitch. But the way it occurs naturally is the motor neuron releases what neurotransmitter? Always acetylcholine. And it will bind to channels. And here we see closed channels, and here we see open channels, right? And now notice, what is coming through is not the neurotransmitter, yes? Right? The neurotransmitter is open. What's coming through is the ion. And I really wish most textbooks don't do this. They don't put the ion there also, right? They've got to put the ion here. They don't show you like something there, right, moving in. So the point is, you open up sodium channels, or actually sodium potassium channels, and sodium comes in, and do you always get an action potential?
No.
Yes, yes. You always do. You always do. And what's the reason for that?
to open the calcium.
So what's the reason for the fact that you always get an action potential? What was that? Well, because sodium, I gotta tell you that sodium channels in a neuron open, and you don't always get an action potential.
Because this is always like one way or the other.
Close. Let me give you another hint. Why do you always get an action potential at the axon hillock when it's negative 55? It's excitatory. You're not hitting the nail on the head. Okay, brings above threshold. Why do you always get an action potential here? Okay. How many voltage gated sodium channels are at the axon hillock? Many, yes? That's why you have it. Why do you have an action potential here all the time? There's a lot of channels here. So that's all I'm telling you right now. It's no mystery. The reason why you always get an action potential is because you have a lot of channels. This is not like a synapse in the brain, right? A synapse in the brain, you have a few channels, and you have a little excitatory blip. And if you get enough of them at the same time, or in rapid succession, you get the threshold. Here you always reach threshold. And that goes back to the question asked before, if this is always an action potential, how do you prevent the muscle from contracting? You gotta do something upstream, right, in the brain. So you always have an action potential, and what does that action potential do?
It activates the DHP receptor.
Okay, activates this DHP receptor. What does that do?
Open the channel.
That
Opens the channel to what?
Calcium.
Calcium. Good. Okay. And then what happens to calcium? Does it flow into the cytosol?
Yes.
Yes. It flows in out of the SR into the space. Okay, good. Now you know the relationship between calcium and the allowing of the myosin head to bind to actin? If you do, what did I tell you to do? Write it out, yes? So kind of write that out right now. What are you going to say on the exam? 'Cause you know you get this question. Write out what you're going to say after calcium comes out. Write it out. Write with non-imaginary pencil. Right? Or what we call Lalani